Oh my gosh, my mouse is like offset by a half inch.
Personal problem.
I'm gonna click on the B on back, on Drew Back to Future Story. Oh my gosh.
Wow. Your mouse is out of whack.
Welcome, boys and girls, to another episode of demguyspodcast with Drew, Slash, and Snowshoe.
Yay!
Oh
Sounds
my
like
gosh.
this episode should be brought to us by a letter of some sort.
This
With
episode
that intro.
is brought to us by the letter... Snow, you're the spelling person. What letter is it brought to us by?
What's the name of the Swedish letter with the O with the slash through it?
Oh.
Oh.
Oh. Brought to us by the letter O.
Slash, can you make that appear on the screen?
I don't know
might
how.
be able
I don't
to.
know my ASCII tables.
Let me see here. I'll just throw it up here in introductions. I should be able to go like this.
O.
Oh, no, it didn't do it. Hold
slash?
on. Like this. You know what? It's not liking... Wait, is it this one?
Nope.
Even if you have to even if you have to do it in Paint, just make it and throw it over the
It doesn't say how to say it.
I don't know what happened to my compose key. I'm
Here.
supposed to... In Linux, you know how like in Windows you normally hold down Alt and you type some sort of numbers to make it happen? Oh, Snow
No.
got it.
I didn't know that.
I did it.
In Windows, you can hold down Alt and press a bunch of numbers, and it makes the thing appear. In Linux, there's supposed to be you can configure a compose key where you literally hit that key, and then I would hit like O slash, and it would be like, oh, you mean the O with a slash through it, and it would put that character down. It's so much more intuitive.
Yeah, that's
Except
pretty
every
cool.
time you want to type anything with O slash.
O slash.
So,
O
like...
slash.
You
Yeah.
silly guy.
Yeah, like... Oh, I'm not... I'm typing down here. That was weird. And we're just typing in the listenership can't even see this. So, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast.
We hope you enjoyed listening in on playing with Google Docs for the
Okay.
past 5 minutes.
You're supposed to round your lips tightly and say,
Ugh.
Brought to you by the letter,
Excellent. That might be my new favorite letter ever. But yeah, podcast time. We've got our email address, so you can contact us if you want to ask us questions, comment on anything that we've said before, recommend new letters from bizarre other languages. And that's demguyspodcast@gmail.com.
DEMGY, I'm gonna try again.
Oh, no!
DEMGYSPDCAST@gmail.com.
I was hoping for that.
We're also on Twitter at demguyspodcast.
At DEMGYSPDCAST.
That's just awesome.
hard to
Yeah,
do,
so you can always find in case you're not subscribed to the channel, which you should be, but you can always find links to the latest podcast on Twitter, and we'll also tweet out updates if for some reason schedules changed or whatever. So you can find us there.
When we've been on the airwaves for the last year and a half, and our schedule has not changed.
That's true. The schedule hasn't really changed, but we have had occasions where, the episode is late, or
guess
we're
that's
not
true.
going to have an episode on a particular time.
Well, our schedule is basically maybe Monday.
Yeah, that is essentially it. Our schedule is
It's
Monday,
pretty much
Monday if we can.
a flowchart
maybe.
of did it happen last week? Then it goes directly to no. Or
Yeah.
if yes, then no new podcast.
Right.
If no,
if
then
no,
maybe.
maybe. That is exactly. I have one of my favorite things, since you mentioned flowcharts, one of my favorite things that I have hanging at my cubicle at work is an XKCD comic on how to read flowcharts. It's called, the title of it is A Guide to Reading Flowcharts Presented in Flowchart Form. And it's fantastic. It's like, can you read flowcharts? Yes, no. It's like, okay, you see the lines marked yes? No. But you see the ones labeled no, and then you go to like, no, and it's like, wait, what? Because you just follow the line for no. And then it's like, yes. It's like, but you just, wait, what?
That hurts my brain. That's flowchartception.
It's
It's like a book about how to read.
It is very hilarious, and pretty much the entire thing ends with "screw it, let's go drink." And then after 6 drinks, hey, I should try installing FreeBSD, which is a crazy operating system.
So
yeah, that's a favorite thing.
Is that book for people only 21 and over or something?
No, it's a webcomic.
I I was making a joke.
I don't understand how that
Drinking
was a joke.
age.
Yeah, I understand drinking age, but I don't understand, like, how
If
that
that's
relates.
a step to learning flow... Never mind. It was funny in my head.
I'm sure it was. That's fine, though. You know what I bet is also wow. I'll English very well.
We record this on a Monday. Wait a minute. I screwed up our flowchart. It comes out on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it does. I didn't even think about that.
We record on Mondays, so sometimes our brains don't work.
Yeah. Well, our brains never work, but...
Hey, I'm much better on Friday than Monday. I can tell you that much.
Well, I have no doubt about that. I'm better on Fridays as well. But yeah, anyway, Drew, you have some sort of game that you wanted to mention / challenge the two of us in? I've never heard of it.
It's great.
So, this past week, I've been playing two different free browser games that I'm going to tell you guys about.
Right now.
Yes. So the first is called GeoGuessr, and I actually found it through Nebris's YouTube channel. He and Jay Sano and Baj have all been playing. So what it is, I mean, you just go to it in your browser, geoguessr.com. And
But it's GeoGuessr.
Yes.
GeoGuessr without the third E.
Yes.
.com.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just don't type all that out, GeoGuessr, without the third E.com, because that will probably take you somewhere else. Anyway. So what the game is it takes Google Street View, and it puts you on a road somewhere in the world. And you have to use signs, and terrain, and plants, and just what you see.
If you're using plants, I think you're not going to be close. You can use plants to get an original idea.
I know people who can guess it using the plants. Anyway,
what?
you have to use all the clues and stuff that you see in the Google Street View to guess where in the world you are.
Interesting.
It's extremely fun. And then at the end, it gives you a link so you can send it to your friends and they can try to beat your score.
You know what we should do? Like, we should all challenge each other and then send the challenge to the listenership.
It so happens. I did one this morning, and I challenged my brother to it, actually, and he told me it was a really good one, and that I should challenge you guys to it, and we'll post it in the video description so that you guys can take it as well.
Sweet. The only thing about GeoGuessr is that there's no timer on it.
You can set one. You can actually go into options and set a timer.
Interesting. Can we do that? I want to do that. I feel like I'm going to pinpoint it.
Not on the existing one that I have, but I mean, I guess we could do a new one. Yeah. How about let's post the not timed one in chat and then maybe tweet a timed one later or something?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Or not,
that works.
Not in chat, in the description.
Yeah, I did one and I spent like an hour on each. You have 5 rounds. I think I spent 25 minutes on each round and getting it within like a half mile.
Yeah, I do that sometimes. I spent, I think, about 45 minutes on one once, and I still ended up in the completely wrong place. And in my defense, it was this tiny back road. There was only like one sign that there was like this tiny little settler town thing. And it was in Spanish too, so I couldn't read a lot of it.
Spanish is like one of the only ones I can read.
I can read English and that's it. But I can recognize any other languages. Anyway, so I found a town name. After I completed the challenge and found out I was completely in the wrong area, I zoomed in on where it was. That town was so small that its name wasn't even on the map, so I was never going to find it.
This place doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
No, so you guys just try it, hit start, and pray that you're not in Russia.
or on a dirt road with no signs through the jungle somewhere. Because that happens too.
Wow.
Then you just guess Brazil and guess the middle of Brazil, and you're probably close.
It's extremely fun, and it is really cool to recognize different cultural stuff. Like I now, like I now know different countries, like what their road paint looks like what color lines they use in the middle of the road and stuff like that. And
but do you know
I
what
pick
they
up
do?
on these
Because
subtle little clues.
I still have yet to figure out what the heck a double dashed line means.
I would imagine it's probably just people going in either direction can pass.
Yeah,
but it's double.
That's what it is in the U.S.?
No, it's a single dash line.
We have double dash lines in over in Pennsylvania.
You do?
Yeah.
Pretty
Get
sure.
with the times, man.
Oh wow, we don't have double
You
dash
live in a
lines.
backwards part of the country.
If it's two-way, it's yellow, and then if it's dashed, then you can pass. There's no double dashed.
You're behind the times, man. That's what I'm telling you.
Whatever. We weren't colonized in 1700s like you guys were.
That's right.
In the 1700s?
Right?
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Never mind.
We became a state in the 1700s. We would have been colonized a bit before that.
Okay. Whatever. Pennsylvanians
are awesome. I'll just finish that sentence for you.
So the other game that I wanted to mention, I found this through the Buffalo Wizards, and Bruce Willikers, Rob, made some tutorials on it that are very helpful. It's called Manyland. It's another browser game. It's a lot like Terraria or something, because it's like a side-scroller, and there's a lot of blocks and stuff.
A lot of weird things.
Yes. The cool thing about this game is all of the blocks that are existing in the game are actually user-created. So you don't spawn into a pre-generated world and start mining things. It's actually, except for the actual spawn point and the first little area around it, everything is user-created. You can actually, there is a part of the game that you can go into a kind of an inventory thing and literally just draw a new block or whatever and say, this is a solid block, or this is a background, because it's 2D, so it's like a back wall or whatever. This is a liquid. You can make vehicles, character skins, items that you can carry, all sorts of stuff. And there's no PvP or anything. There's no monsters to fight. It's all just about creating an interesting community.
Interesting had quotes around it. I could hear them.
Yes.
It's weird. For sure. I found a Magikarp, and I found a lot of Good Willies posters.
Yes, Snow looked at it for about 30 seconds before we started, whereas I've played for probably about 6 hours. It's
casual
fun.
Man, Snow. God.
Sorry.
Well, so that's the main world elsewhere where you start is, like I said, there's a spawn area, and then people build out around it, and it's infinite. So you can go to the left or to the right, as far as you can, and up. I think down might be the only place where there's a point where you just kind of fall and you can't keep building down. But you can go left or right or up as far as you want. And the farther you get from spawn, the more random and disorganized things get. You'll get out there and it's people have just posted tons of weird memes all over the wall or something. But it's also really well moderated. It's very because you can just draw whatever. You'd think, because it's the internet, there'd be a lot of very inappropriate stuff, but it's actually it's very rare to see that kind of stuff.
Well, that's good.
So, but yeah, and you can very easily get lost because, like I said, it's infinite. You can just keep walking in one direction for hours, and it'll start getting weird, and you might, at times, it might seem like you're not gonna run into anything else, and then you keep going, and suddenly there's a castle or something. So,
but what's with all the Good Willies stuff? Is it
okay,
just because
so yeah, it was. It wasn't a huge game. I don't think a lot of people knew about it. And then Old Man Willikers discovered it and made a video about it. And now, the entire Buffalo Wizards subreddit has gone to there. So there's tons of Buffalo Wizards themed stuff. And the Good Willies is a thing about the whole breakup between Rob and Good or whatever.
Right.
So sad.
Yeah. So, But yeah, there's also, like, you'll see the Buffalo Wizard head all over the place and other Buffalo Wizard memes.
What have you been doing for 6 hours? Just walking?
Oh, so this is the really cool thing. Like I said, every block is user generated. You can create your own area outside of the mainland, and then you can invite your friends and they can come. So it'll be like a mini, like a sub server sort of. And the way you get blocks for that is you can take the time to draw everything yourself, but that would take forever. You can actually just grab a block that you see with your mouse and drag it in your inventory, and it copies it into your inventory, and then you always will have that block, and you have a limited inventory space, so you can literally just copy everything that you see in the world and be like, oh, that looks cool, I want that. And so it just gives you so many building blocks. It's really cool. So I've just been walking around collecting as much as possible.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of odd sort of non-games that some of them seem to really catch on, and then, you know, other ones you kind of like look at it and you go, no, I don't think that's for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Like, it seems like this sort of thing that I might check out, but I don't know if it's the sort of thing I could get into. But it's hard to go off of the description. I'd have to give it a try myself and see what I get out of it.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the very basic versions of Minecraft, though. Before there were, like, mobs and stuff, like, the very basic alpha versions, it's literally just building blocks and just making cool
every
stuff.
public server I've ever been on.
Yeah, well, there's that, too.
Well, but that's the cool thing about creating your own world is you can just say, like, hey guys, let's go do this, and then you can find other people out in the overworld. I had one random person be like, he just saw me and he's like, hey, want to check out my base? I'm like, sure. And so he's to get to a different place, you can either type it into the address bar, so it's like manyland.com/whatever, or you can just in-game, you can just type to wherever. So, like, Stockpile is a place that's pre-made, and it stores tons of skins and vehicles, so you can just go there if you want a new skin, character skin. So you just type to Stockpile, and it'll just teleport you, and then your browser will change slightly, and you'll be there. And so he was like, follow me. It was like MLG base or something, and he just had a little base, and I looked around at it, and it was just like seeing someone's like after their little hidey hole for the night thing. It was like seeing someone's first kind of bigger build in Minecraft or something. And it was it was really fun. And so then we added each other as friends, and I don't know if we'll see each other online. It actually does have like a friends list, and you can teleport to them and see what they're doing or whatever.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah,
I like it as a concept.
And one other interesting thing is when you type, you don't press a button to bring up a chat and start typing. It's literally just you type, and it starts appearing above your head, and so everyone can see it. And so then if you make a
making
mistake,
typos and backspacing.
Yep,
and
they can see all that. It's a fun little feature.
Yeah, so. It's Google Docs the game
with more color.
I can put color in the doc. Yep, I can put all sorts of color in the doc. Look.
Oh gosh.
Ooh, that one's orange now.
No.
And this one, we'll make this one sort of a yellowish color that almost looks exactly the same. And this is already green or blue.
It's blue.
Rather.
What the heck is that? Drew put some kind of Russian.
We'll talk about it in a minute. So,
yes, we'll talk about it in the future. But first, we must go back
to the future.
Roll with it.
Okay.
Setting up mad transitions.
Yes. So, fun story. So first of all, as you guys probably know, I have not seen a lot of movies that I should have seen. I remember, I think it was last summer, Snow asked me if I had, or I forget when it was, but Snow was talking about The Goonies, and I mentioned that I had never seen it.
What? I'm just kidding, I already knew that.
Yeah. So, by the way...
That was a great reenactment of your initial reaction.
It was like a flashback to the future.
Yeah.
So, Snow, I don't know if I told you this, but I bought The Goonies for $5 over the summer, and still haven't watched it yet. It's sitting in my room.
Really?
I've had it for like half a year, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
That's probably my most watched movie. I think I've said that before, but that's probably my most watched movie ever.
Interesting.
I enjoy it. I don't know that I would watch it obsessively like some people.
Well, it was one of the things when I was 8, I just watched it like every night whenever I went to bed.
See, I wasn't exposed to the Goonies as a kid. I didn't watch the Goonies until I was a grown up. So it didn't have quite the same appeal to me as it would have if it had like childhood memories attached to it.
It was
still
like
a very
my
good
only
movie,
videotape with my TV VCR combo, and I'd just push it in and hit the play button and then go to sleep.
There you go.
Very nice. Well, anyway, but another movie that I should have seen probably, and I still have not, is Back to the Future.
You have not seen any of the Back to the Future movies?
Nope. We never watched it at my house growing up. I assume that my parents have seen it, at least my dad, but like they never introduced that to us. I mean, probably the only reason I've seen Star Wars is when I was like 10 years old. I basically begged my parents to let me. So anyway, some of my work friends knew that I had not seen Back to the Future, and there was like a thing where the manager was giving out some, not prizes, but I guess sort of presents for just people doing a really good job. And so he gave me Back to the Future because he heard from one of my other coworkers that I hadn't seen it yet. And he was like, I don't know if I can be friends with you if you have not at least seen the first one. So
Yeah, that is a movie trilogy, honestly, and of all the stuff that they've rebooted and they've done sequels and prequels and stuff off of, Back to the Future is something that deserves a lot more love than I think that Hollywood has ever given it. You know, there was the trilogy, the movie trilogy, and I know that there was a Saturday morning cartoon thing that they had done briefly that was based on that universe, you know, basically took place after the movies. And that was very good. But like, there's so much more that can be done with the whole Back to the Future concept, that just doesn't seem to have been done. But I freaking love those movies. I think the second one's the best. I enjoy the second one the most. What about you, Snowshoe? Do you have an opinion?
I like the first one.
You like the first one.
That's the only one I've ever seen.
What?
Why would I have watched the other ones? No, the first one.
You have not seen the second and third Back to the Future movies?
No, just the first one.
Oh, man. Holy crap.
Well, Snow, I'll send them to you when I'm done.
The both of you, man. That's it. I quit. I'm out.
Well,
I can't podcast with you two.
If you're not upset enough, I thought I'd just mention some other movies that I haven't seen.
just to further slash rage.
Yes.
Okay, let's have it. Bring it on.
So until, I don't know, up until a couple of months ago, I hadn't seen any of the Die Hards.
I haven't watched Die Hard either.
Okay, I saw the first one now, and I own the next. Well, I own the first 4 now. I just got them, so I plan on watching those.
Okay.
Oh, what's another? Oh, I have only seen the first half of the first Matrix movie, and I didn't. I actually fell asleep. I didn't like it very much. So
that's okay. You saw just about the best. You saw half of the best Matrix movie.
You know, it's funny. I actually thoroughly enjoyed the entire trilogy. I'm one of the very few people that actually enjoy, because I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan, you know, and it became a Dragon Ball Z style fight towards the end. You know, so it was like, I enjoyed seeing an anime style conflict portrayed in a live action sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
it just got too convoluted for me, I thought. I don't know.
It was a little, I mean, some of the stuff that they did with it was a little odd. And I think you had to be in the creators' heads a little bit, I think, to fully get what was going on.
I was like 13 when the third one came out, I think. So I was just like, okay, I don't know what's happening. Just jump and fight.
That's basically all they really needed by that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, I mean, most people would agree that the first Matrix movie is the only one that's actually worth watching. And if that's the only one that you actually watched, then that's acceptable. But I do say that at least the whole movie would be a good idea.
Yeah. What's funny is we're actually to add to the, it should be entertaining, but it wasn't really. We were watching riff tracks with it, and the riff tracks for the Matrix aren't that great in my opinion. But
yeah, well, I don't know if there's enough material for them to be able to riff on. Because, yeah, it takes a certain kind of bad movie to be able to generate a good riff tracks, and I don't know if The Matrix is one of them. There's more?
I was trying to think.
What?
Well, I know there's one. I've seen the other three, but I actually haven't seen Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh.
It's just a random one.
You've seen Crystal Skull or whatever it was, but... Yeah. Okay.
Because that's, when I was younger, I saw 1 and 3, but I was apparently too young to watch Temple of Doom, and then when I was older, I just never got around to it.
You never got back to it. One of them had a snake pit. That might have been Temple of Doom.
I'm pretty sure it was Temple of Doom.
Yeah, that freaked me out. I saw there was like a television broadcast of that I remember watching as a kid, and I was not happy with the.
I mean, there's a lot of snakes in all of them. Like
there are, yeah.
The first one, there's snakes all over the floor, and then in the third one, as like a 13-year-old or 16-year-old or something, he falls into like a giant thing of snakes, and that's what initially even makes him scared of snakes.
Why do they have to be snakes?
Yeah. I don't think I think I've seen the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. Most people would agree they're the only Indiana Jones movies.
Yeah.
I think the 4th one is kind of treated like the Star Wars prequels. Where it's like, no.
I like the Star Wars prequels.
They have some merit, but there's a lot wrong with them.
When I was younger, I liked the special effects and the action, and like the clone troopers are probably my favorite part of all of Star Wars. So clone troopers and Mandalorians. So
see, to me, the prequels were just as good as the original ones. The only problem was that they came out like 30 years later. So being just as good doesn't really make them as good.
When they should have been better.
Right.
You can excuse certain things in like the 1970s that you can't excuse in the 90s and New Millennium, yeah.
Like Jar Jar Binks was essentially as good of a character as Jabba the Hutt. The only problem was that he came out 30 years later.
Yeah. And then, well, Jabba the Hutt, at least, like, his place makes sense, you know? He's like a crime lord syndicate kind of guy, right? But Jar Jar Binks ended up addressing the frickin' Galactic Senate. I have a problem with him being credible. like, really? These representatives from, like, the entire galaxy are here in this gigantic room listening to that talk?
I just wonder why nobody, like, how Jar Jar Binks, or not Jar Jar Binks, how Jabba the Hutt survived as long as he did.
Yeah.
Like, just go up and stab the guy.
I mean, in the books, he had, like, so much fat around him, it was basically, like, armor.
Stab him in the eyeball. He's got big old red eyeballs. Just right in there.
Yep. I'm glad we've got that problem solved.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
Well, speaking of stabbing people in the eyeball, Mindcrack UHC is going on.
Yes. I should mention, there was a commenter on the last podcast episode. I posted his name here. I don't know how to pronounce it.
Is that what this is?
Yes.
Hadujime Let's Playery Hesky Seski.
Hesky Chesky.
Is that how it is? Chesky?
I'm pretty sure that's how you say the goalie's named Peter Cech, and it has that little thing underneath it. Above it or whatever that is.
Okay. Well,
that's a impressive display name.
Hesky Chesky.
Anyway, yeah, he commented and asked why we hadn't talked about UHC last time, and really the reason was we recorded on the same day it came out, like 2 hours after it came out, and none of us had gotten to watch the first episode yet. So
except for me.
Oh, you had? I thought none of us had.
Yeah. No, we just couldn't talk about it because you guys hadn't seen it.
Okay.
Well, there you go. But yeah, we are well into it now. Now, again, given our 2-week release schedule, there was an episode released today. This time I'm the only one that hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
Yes, episode 8 was released today for us.
Yeah, for us. So we'll discuss up till then. And if you're not caught up, you can look down in the description. I have every week, every episode, whenever the podcast comes out, in the description, I've got the time codes linked for the different topics. So you can click on the time code for the next topic to skip over the UHC stuff if you want to try to avoid spoilers if you're running behind.
Yeah.
Which you should do now. Everything past here is fair game. Do
it.
Click.
Exactly.
Or don't click.
Yep. If you didn't click and you hear spoilers, it's on you.
Yeah.
So this season 20. I can't believe they've been doing this for that long, that they've done 20 seasons of it. But it's back to Dragon Rush format.
Yeah.
A second time only in Mindcrack UHC history.
I can believe it just because it seems like there was a point anyway where they did it like I think one summer they did like 4 or 5 UHCs.
I think it was like 12, 13, 14, 15 or something like that were like back to back to back. I mean, it was, there was a rapid progression of UHCs.
Kind of like right at the peak, they started going pretty quick. Like, I think for me, I really like going back to the Dragon Rush format because I think season, was it 10 that they rushed the dragon the first time?
I think in 9.
9, yeah.
That's what I thought it was, 9. 9 was my favorite UHC. No, it really was, but then I was like, well, why would they Dragon Rush again at 20? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, because they do what they want.
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes sense to go 10 and 20 and then 30. Whatever. The ninth one was my favorite, though.
But I will say, I'm glad to see the Dragon Rush format, and I love the last Dragon Rush. I think the only team perspective I actually watched that season, because I hadn't really branched out by that point, I think, to most of Mindcrack. So I was watching, I guess it was Dookie, is what they've called them since then. But, Doc, BOO, Kurt, and Etho. And I love the fact that, I'm trying to remember how many members of that team were in the bathroom when the game ended.
It was definitely BOO, and he came back and he was like, "Oh, it's over." It was great.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, that was the season that Kurt was the Iron Curtain because he never took any damage the entire season.
That's right. Yeah, he was completely damageless the entire time.
But
so yeah, that was good. So
let's talk about this season.
Oh, if we must.
Well, it's a throwback because a good amount of the same players are in the same teams as the last Dragon Rush, right?
It was pretty close, yeah.
They had Team Potty Mouth. They tried to get Team Dookie, but they only got Doc and Kurt because BOO and Etho weren't on it. They had Team Nancy Drew again.
Yep. I liked Team New People.
Yeah, Team New People since the last one.
Or New Kids on the Block is what they end up calling themselves, I think.
I gotcha. But yeah,
New Kids on the Blocks.
New Kids on the Blocks, because Minecraft, very, very clever. I don't know how they came up with that one.
Okay, it's better than the stupid team name based on the letters in the first letters of the people's names. I hate those. Like Team Potty Mouth's great. Team Dookie, like what the DOOKE, and you make Dookie.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a.
Although I like
way to refer
I liked from a previous season. I liked Team Pimp, which was Pyro, MC, and Pause.
Yeah, that was good.
But so this season, probably the funniest moment of what's happened so far is when the Nether portal was stolen. And,
You're talking about Nancy Drew.
Yeah, so if you haven't seen that, it's either Nancy Drew's perspective or whatever team Nebris it was Nebris, BTC, Packrat, and Vex.
Yeah, they were Team Reddit, name our team now or something like that.
That's right, yeah.
And that was just like that was because I can't believe no one's done it before now, but I guess it was because they aren't allowed to trap the Nether portal because everyone needs to go into the Nether. And so they came into the Nether right after them, saw them far away, and decided to tear down the Nether portal and run away with it and build it somewhere else.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. And honestly, now they ended up, BTC and his team, they ended up finding yet another team's portal to get out, right?
No, they saw Baj.
Oh, that's right. They saw Baj making a run for it, and they were able to track down yeah, that's right. It was so difficult to keep track of everything, because of course everybody's going to the Nether.
Yeah.
So.
In some ways, it's probably better that they did, because I would feel really bad for them. Their footage, I know from personal experience, the footage is very boring when you're just running around the Nether trying to find your portal for like 2 or 3 episodes. Yeah. That has happened to me. So,
yeah. But yeah, I've been watching primarily, I started out watching Generic B for Team Potty Mouth, Beef for Nancy Drew, and Kurt for his team. for blue team. And then I went over to Vex for their perspective whenever Nancy Drew ran into them, because that was just hysterical. Yeah. Everything that happened there. But I was really surprised at how, towards the end, as the teams start moving towards the middle, I was surprised at how often teams would manage to miss each other in a very close proximity, because apparently the draw distance from the server, like the players were only rendering from like 20 or 30 blocks away. It wasn't a very, you could not be, halfway to the horizon, quote unquote, and just vanish.
Yeah, there's a good example of it in the newest episode. I won't spoil anything, but Beef is like looking for Paz and Good, and he's like, I don't know where you guys are, and they're like, we're right here. And then all of a sudden they pop in, and it's like, oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, well, there was one point where Kurt spots, I think it was Good, over by the portal, and Good, is running back towards the shore and then just vanishes. And he's like, where'd he go? I don't understand. But yeah, this has been a very entertaining season to watch. I've been thoroughly enjoying it.
I think, honestly, one of my favorite concepts is, so they had 21 players, and so Arcus was technically on a team by himself, and what he was supposed to do was, whichever team he came across first, he was supposed to, like, contact them and basically join their team.
Right.
And you can actually tell from the chat, so even if you haven't watched his perspective, you should know this. He actually, I think in episode 7, or maybe it was episode 6. He found Doc and Kurt and joined up with them. Soon after their other teammates had died, and they were still freaking out a little bit. And it was awesome because it was nighttime, and they were like down in the hidey hole trying to sort through the loot they had just gotten, because it was a big team battle and everything. And Arcus comes along, and he starts just digging around above them to scare them.
That was pretty awesome. He's like, wait, I hear somebody. Yeah, I can't remember this is the first time for quite a while that a UHC from Mindcrack has actually been this entertaining for me. It was starting to get a little samey for me. But,
but I think it's because it's objective based. Like, I think they need to do more of this, because I think the objective of just killing people is starting to get a bit vanilla. Mm-hmm. Like, it's basically the same game every time. You go in, you get all your materials, get iron armored up, and look for diamonds, look for gold, look for apples, and then go kill people. Yep. And no matter what they do, it's kind of the same game every time. But whenever they add the dragon fight into it, now there's 2 objectives. It's like either the last team standing wins, or the team that beats the dragon first wins. So there's this whole new, like, timed pressure.
Well, and there's side objectives too, like, someone at least has to go to the nether to get blaze rods for the end portal. And so,
everybody, every team is going to have at least some representative of the team, whether it be all of them or some of them, will be in the nether at some point.
Yeah.
Right. So there's, you've got this, there's this task flow that you've got in your head, and you're like, we gotta get there before they take all the nether wart. We gotta get there before they break all the blaze spawners. We gotta, that sort of thing, where there's, it makes it a little bit nuttier, I guess is the word I'd been used. There's more frantic trying to make sure that they get done the stuff they need to get done.
Yeah, the videos are so much better. It's just not even close anymore. But maybe it's just because it's different, I guess.
Yeah, well, that could be too. It's not your typical PvP scenario.
Yeah.
But I would like to see them do something like that. They would have to do some modded stuff probably to be able to pull it off. But what I would like to see is like a wither fight, where they would have to artificially increase the drop rate of wither heads, I think, so that you wouldn't have to, like, spend a lot of time grinding to get up to level 30 and get, like, looting 3 and stuff like that to have a chance of getting ahead. But basically set up at 0-0 a wither with 2 heads, and you just need to place the 3rd head, and have the wither skeletons that spawn have a greater drop rate of wither heads.
So if the first team loses to it, it just, like, flies around.
Exactly. It's just there somewhere on the map. And then it becomes like, if the first team to rush it was ill-prepared and they all die, now the other teams have to try and track it down.
Right.
and find it to kill it. So
they kind of did that in the charity one, but somebody paid I think it was $1,000 or something to unleash a wither in the middle of the UHC, and it just went and got itself stuck.
Did it really?
Yeah, that was the
I
end
missed
of the wither,
that part.
I think.
Yeah.
I remember they said something about there being a wither, but yeah, I didn't know exactly what happened with that.
Yeah, apparently it didn't end up amounting to much. But yeah. Well, speaking of other entertaining things to watch, the news has come out that my childhood is coming back. Actually, it's coming back in multiple ways. The first way is that Japan is soon to release the third quote-unquote season, the third series of the Digimon Adventure anime, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Digimon franchise at all.
Digital monsters, Digimon are the champions.
So you know the crappy American dub.
Maybe. That's the only one they showed on American TV.
Heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
It's pretty neat. I mean, I'll cover it quickly. The franchise actually has existed since before Pokemon, even though a lot of people draw the parallels and call it a Pokemon ripoff. But it sort of has its roots in those Tamagotchi keychain pets. It's that sort of thing. But it's short for digital monster, right, as opposed to pocket monster. And the very first series was called Digimon Adventure, which they made a movie based on this digital toy, and it was a big hit. And when I say a movie, it was like a kid's movie in Japan. It'll be 45 minutes. I don't know how that works, but that's all the longer they tend to be. But it was a big hit, and so they decided to make a full-fledged TV show about it. And there's this parallel digital world, and there's these bad guys there, and they're trying to take over the digital world, and then from there take over the real world. And these kids are chosen to defend with, these partner Digimon that can evolve spontaneously to higher forms to fight these battles. And it's very, very cool. And it's sort of got an older demographic than Pokemon, so that some of the stories can be a little bit more in-depth. And the characters are a bit more interesting. And they did a series of that, and then they did another series. This is how old the franchise is. They did one, Digimon Adventure 02, which at the time took place in 2002, which was 3 years in the future. So the franchise has been around for 15 years now. But they did a sequel to that, and then they've done some other series since then that have not had anything to do with the ones that preceded, that were set in their own sort of universes with the Digimon still being, characters and still following sort of the same rules and stuff, but different kids, different, enemies and that sort of thing, and different, technology and devices and all sorts of stuff. Different toys to market, basically. But they've announced that for the 15th anniversary, they're doing Digimon Adventure Tri, it's TRI, which I assume is short for trilogy, because it's the third series that they've done in that universe. And I'm very, very excited for that. I think rumor has it it's supposed to start up in April, but I don't know for sure if that's the case or not, because everybody says it, but nobody can go back to an official source that says, oh yeah, April.
So there's no way it's going to just be mediocre. It's either going to be really fantastic or just terrible. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's going to be, I'm so hyped for it that it's either going to exceed my expectations or I'm going to be ticked off 3 episodes in. and that's about it. And then the other one that, the other announcement that brought me back to my childhood is Disney has announced that they're remaking DuckTales. Did you guys ever watch the DuckTales cartoon?
Yeah.
I did not, but I at least kind of know what it is.
You're sort of familiar with it?
Where's it going to be aired? On Disney Channel?
It's either Disney Channel or Disney XD, one of the two.
See,
but one of their properties.
Yeah, there's no way I'm going to watch Disney Channel to watch any of that, though. Did you know they have a show called Girl Meets World on Disney Channel right now?
I'm aware of that. I've seen some episodes, and it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous to me.
I never saw Boy Meets World, but isn't it supposed to be his daughter or something?
It is. Okay. Yeah, it's the Boy Meets World characters are, they're all grown up now because their actors are all grown up, and Corey and Topanga have a daughter and a little son younger than her. And she's 12 or something like that, about the same age Corey was when Boy Meets World started. And it's basically a gender flipped version, more or less, of Boy Meets World. It's from these preteen girls' perspectives, but they have a lot of the Boy Meets World stuff. Like obviously Corey and Topanga are main characters because they're the parents, but they've had cameos by Feeney and by Eric Matthews, and Sean I think showed up, and they brought in a whole bunch of the characters from the original, and it's been very good, and it's captured the same sort of feel as the original, and it's got this heavy nostalgia factor for those of us who watch Boy Meets World.
Man, I had no clue that I would get a full-fledged review on Girl Meets World in this podcast.
Surprise! Nobody expects the full-fledged review of Girl Meets World, Inquisition.
It's Slash with his ninja reviews.
Ninja reviews, yeah. But yeah, DuckTales is another one that's coming out. And again, I'm not sure when I'm gonna get a chance to see any of it because
Girl Meets World is on.
Well, actually, we don't get Disney Channel or Disney XD. We're not included on our package. So
you would if you got that
Sling
thing
TV.
I told you about. Yeah, Sling TV.
I'm pretty sure a lot of Disney Channel shows get posted on YouTube. I don't know. I don't think
that's illegal, Drew. I cannot believe you are allowing illegality promotion words.
I was going to say
he's simply reporting the news.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, is it CNN's fault when they talk about the Pirate Bay?
Not that they're talking about the Pirate Bay, but Drew is clearly promoting that people go watch DuckTales from Disney XD on YouTube.
No, he's simply saying that it happens. He's not saying that he's for it.
Okay.
That would be promoting, see.
Gotcha. Just
there's
wanted to draw
the
a clear
legal
line.
disclaimer.
All I was going to say was
YouTube.
I know like some people will say like, oh, I can't find this show anywhere or whatever, and it's like only like on sketchy websites because copyright takes it down, and apparently I don't guess copyright doesn't take down Disney shows and clips and stuff on YouTube. So
out of all places I would assume to have copyright, it would be Disney.
Yeah, you would think so too, but I've seen tons of Disney content on YouTube as well, and it doesn't seem like they're too worried about it.
When I was younger, I watched Sweet Life of Zack and Cody on YouTube.
That's crazy to me. Okay, anyway, I'll move on.
They had the Supernatural I've talked about before, but the mom from Sweet Life has been on Supernatural as a sheriff. And, of course, Supernatural...
I can't picture her as a sheriff at all, but...
Right, well, exactly. And she's actually a pretty rough and tumble character. She does very well. But, of course, the main characters, are Sam and Dean. And I've seen posts online, though, it's like, do you have any idea how much it would make my life if the sheriff were to refer to the two of them sarcastically as Zack and Cody? So, I keep wishing that would happen, but apparently it hasn't happened yet. But so Drew, you have not seen DuckTales, but you're familiar with it.
I've actually I didn't necessarily realize it was a show. I know a couple of my friends have very excitedly talked about the video game.
The video game was pretty good too, back on the Nintendo.
Well, they remade it and it's on Steam.
They did, yeah.
And my friends were talking about it and they were all excited about it. I took a look at it and I am not a 2D platformer kind of guy, so
yeah, we won't talk about Miniland then.
That doesn't require skill.
That's true. The DuckTales video game did require some skill, but my hope with the revival of this DuckTales TV show is that it brings back some of the other like Disney afternoon properties from back in the day, because my favorite ever cartoon from Disney was Darkwing Duck.
Yeah, and Darkwing Duck.
And that spawned directly out of the DuckTales universe, because actually Launchpad is in both series, right? He transitioned from the one to the other. And I want DuckTales again. My kids deserve, DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, my kids deserve those series to return.
You're going to be so disappointed when they don't like them.
Yeah, probably. But then you can bring back Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers, and can bring back Gummy Bears, and you bring back, what else was there? Those were the big ones. There were a couple of other ones.
Gummy Bears, that's
Gummy Bears
I
was a
thought
show.
About in like 20 years.
Gummy Bears was a show, yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Now all I'm picturing is that really creepy German music video thing that went viral on YouTube.
It's not too far from that.
This song stuck in my head.
It was a weird show.
Gosh.
For sure.
Yeah, it was strange. They had this gummy berry juice that would make the gummy bears bounce around, but if a human drank it, they got super strength. I remember that being a very specific part of that universe.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe that came up in this podcast either.
Yeah. Man, this is my childhood. I loved watching those shows. They were a big deal. But Darkwing Duck for sure was, that and DuckTales together, that would make my life. If Darkwing Duck comes back because DuckTales does well. And DuckTales, of course, has Gizmo Duck, who's like the Iron Man of the Disney universe, basically. Although I suppose now Iron Man is the Iron Man of the Disney universe.
Technically.
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to their Marvel acquisition. Yeah.
Oh man. DuckTales and gummy bears. Are you kidding me? Gummy bears?
Yeah.
I could have gone my whole life and never even thought about gummy bears again.
Oh, Tailspin! You remember Tailspin?
Yeah, Tailspin. That was pretty good too.
Yeah. That would be a good one.
Speaking of things I remember, I'm going to remember that we should go on to the next topic.
Oh, already? Enough about your childhood cartoons, /
Yeah.
We've been on it for long enough.
No, I got some new board games between the last podcast and this one, and I'm really excited about them.
What'd you got?
I think I played all of them. It's great.
All the board games ever?
Games?
Yeah, I went to Barnes & Noble and just said, give me that, whatever you call those things, the aisle.
Give me that.
You just handed them a credit card and said, I'll take it.
Not even a
What,
credit card,
sir?
a gift card.
Everything.
I just threw a gift card and ran out with the rest of the games.
So I have a question. Why do you buy...
Then they ran it to the cash register. Wait, there's only $2 on this card.
Snow, why do you buy your board games at Barnes & Noble? Isn't it cheaper to buy them elsewhere?
Anywhere else?
Sometimes you just go into a store and buy things without thinking you're going there to buy them.
Okay, I'm just saying Barnes & Noble is pretty expensive.
Yeah, well, I have gift cards that I've had since I graduated high school.
And they were still good?
Yep.
I'm surprised that they didn't somehow expire or something.
Nope, they don't.
It's like,
Certain stores, I can be the source on this. I can for gift cards that do not expire. If you want to know which ones do not expire, just let me know because I have a collection.
Sorry, I just want to mention, I got a gift card, I think 2 years ago, for FYE, which there's not even one, around me. And I don't know when I'm going to use it. As the store's still open, but, all the ones that used to be near us closed down, and, I don't think... I'm actually surprised that it is still open, so I'm
well, what do you do, buy CDs there?
Well, I mean, they had movies and CDs. I would assume they probably have video games. I don't know.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's just... All I remember it being is CDs, but I can't tell you the last time I bought a CD. Maybe Now 3 or something like that.
I remember they definitely had movies, but...
Definitely had movies. Definitely.
Anyway, I bought board games from Barnes & Noble, and they were great.
What board games did you get?
In the past week, I played Small Wørld.
Excellent board game.
Pandemic.
Very good board game. Have you ever won Pandemic?
Yes, I haven't lost Pandemic yet. We're starting on the easiest difficulty, but
I was going to say, you're not playing Pandemic if you've won Pandemic.
We have won it. The thing is that, okay, Pandemic is a game where you have different roles, right? Mm-hmm. And so each of the roles has its own power. So we've played 2 games with 2 people. Granted, on the first one, my fiance couldn't figure out how to read the rules correctly, so we cheated most of the game. But the second game, we legitimately won with 2 players, and then the third game, we played with 4 players and legitimately won. But we had a card called the Operations Expert, which has a superpower or whatever where you can... I don't know. It's pretty much overpowered. So we haven't... Just luck of the draw, we haven't played a game without the Operations Expert yet.
I got
whatever it's called.
You're blowing all your Pandemic luck right off the bat. For the next 2 decades, you're not going to win a Pandemic game.
Probably not. We'll lose it twice and then never play it again.
It's going to be a pandemic of losing.
Yikes. It's okay. I can cure it. But
so Small Wørld, Pandemic, what else you got?
Small Wørld, Pandemic, we bought a game that I've played before called, the name escapes me right now. It's a great game.
Wow.
That sounds like a fun game.
Oh my gosh, Citadel.
That would actually be a really fun game. I want to play a game called The Name Escapes Me, where you have to remember, what the name of someone from something is, and it's I want to play that.
I'm pretty sure it's every board game ever with a different title, but that's okay, Drew. We'll let you play it eventually.
But Citadel, you said?
Citadels. It's really cool. It's another role selection game. It's a card game that we normally play with 4 people, but we played with 2 people, and it has like a 2-player version. It's a super like, okay, when you get into the meta of rock, paper, scissors, and you're thinking, like, what is that person going to throw, and then trying to throw what's going to beat them, but then you realize that they know what you're going to throw, so you try to throw what they're going to know that you're going to throw, that kind of thing.
Until you end up just staring at each other for 2 hours and nobody moves.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Citadels does that. Like, for example, there's 8 rolls that you draw from at the beginning of the game, and one of them's an assassin, and the assassin always goes first. And as the assassin, you have to pick one other roll to kill. And so when you're the assassin, you have to try to figure out what your opponent has picked and then kill them based on what they've picked. And the second one is the thief, where you have to choose who to steal from. So you kind of have to decide what they've picked and, like, based on what they need to win the game and what you think they're going to do. It's really cool, though. I like playing that one. It's a psychological game. I think that's it. Was that 4?
It was 4. Small Wørld, Pandemic, Citadel.
Oh, what was the other one? Oh, we played Settlers, but we always play Settlers. I can't remember. We got an expansion for Settlers that I haven't played yet, but...
Settlers is a good game, too. There's an electronic version of that.
I've got it on my phone.
It's like... There's like somebody wrote a version that is part of the software library on my Linux computer that...
What?
It's like client-server, that you can run a Settlers of Catan server, and then you can have people fire up clients and connect and play the game through there.
Well, that's awesome.
It's pretty neat, yeah.
If they have Settlers on... that word, I feel like I pronounce it way too much. I can't say it correctly. Settlers. I don't want to say settlers. Settlers.
Yeah.
If they have it on Tabletop Simulator, that might sell me on it. I'm sure they probably do.
Yeah. They have played it on there. Honestly, I think a lot of Tabletop Simulator, it's like Gary's Mod or something, where it's just like a lot of add-ons and stuff that you can get. Like,
how do you keep people from doing that, though? Because that's like, I guess it's not really going to eat into their game sales, but like...
Yeah, you would think copyright would come into it, but...
Right, but it's just somebody making a mod. Like, I could go make Settlers in Minecraft and nobody would...
Yeah.
Would that be illegal?
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I don't know what the legality is.
You're not selling it.
Yeah,
I'll
even then... so I can sell it.
Yeah. The question of profit does not factor into those sorts of laws, though.
True.
Yeah.
So
anyway, so those are my new board games. You guys should check them all out. They're fairly inexpensive if you don't buy them from Barnes & Noble, but they were free for me because I bought most of them with gift cards that are like 9 years old. Anyway, my second topic, I'm going to go through these pretty quick because we're running out of time here. With the beginning of GDC, Game Developer Conference, whatever it stands for.
Yeah.
Before that happens, Unreal Engine 4 has been announced that it is free now for everybody. So that's really cool because there's a lot of development tools that are kind of professional development tools that anybody can download now.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never gotten into game development at all, but I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that are in that world that are very happy to have that tool set to get their hands on. I'm
for sure going to download it and try out some stuff. I always want to get into it, but I always feel like I'm not advanced enough to do any of that kind of stuff. But I've seen some interesting things about Unreal Engine 4 that they've got like I can't remember what it's called, kind of a click and drag type feature where you don't have to do any real coding to get into it. But I know enough coding to where I can kind of probably work my way around it also.
Yeah, I was going to say...
you'll have to give that a shot and let me know what that's like.
I'll make a game. I'll make Settlers of Catan.
demguyspodcast, the game.
Exactly, that'd be great.
Yes.
You have to corral 3 cats.
Yeah, that's how our job is here on the podcast.
Demguy Simulator 2015.
And then there's a box in a desert.
Oh gosh. We can make a visual version of that game somehow.
You could, yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I saw that topic sitting in there. I'm like, that's great. What do you expect me to do with that? Because I didn't realize, like, I don't know. I mean, I knew it was used in like making video games and stuff, but I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting business model because technically every game that's created with Unreal Engine, if it's sold out of the first $3,000, or once you hit your first $3,000, Unreal Engine legally can collect 5% of that. So by making their engine free, they're basically funding your startup game, and then once you hit $3,000, then you're legally required to pay them back. I think it may be $3,000 a quarter or something like that. Anyway.
Cool.
But yeah, that's interesting. I find that kind of strange. And then second, GDC. I don't know if this actually even relates to GDC. I don't think GDC's even started yet. But Firewatch, the game I talked about, I don't even remember. Was it last GDC? It may have been. No, I can't remember. It was one of those conferences.
It was after. I don't know. It feels like it was kind of recently, but it might have been.
It feels like it. but I think it was like 8
might
months
have
ago or
been
something.
E3.
Yeah, it may have been. Anyway, they just released their first gameplay video, I think, and I've been following the development of that game pretty closely, and it looks really cool. That's pretty much all I want to say about it, but that's my video recommendation. There's 17 minutes of Firewatch gameplay. It doesn't really fuel the mystery that I was hoping that the gameplay was going to fuel, but I think they just wanted to show, hey, we're working on the game. This is actually some finished product of it, and it looks really awesome. So, go check it out.
Cool.
It's time for questions?
I think it's time for questions.
It's time for questions.
All right. Question time.
Question letter A, subpart I.
Good lord. every episode.
This is from a new question asker, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yes,
Right?
Okay.
I believe
I think so. I'm in agreement.
He commented on
with
one
your
of our
assessment.
videos rather than emailing us.
Okay. Quad9363 says, besides gaming, what is something you're really passionate about? /
Oh, that's sweet, Snow. Thank you.
Oh, that wasn't my answer. I'm just kicking it to you.
I didn't
I love
get
how long
that
it took you to
at
pick
first.
up on that, too.
I was like, what? You're really that excited? I'm going to let you answer first? Okay, whatever.
Oh, man. Something you're really passionate about. I'm really passionate about open source software. I think, and like that sort of, that world, like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, does a lot of stuff trying to work against those patent troll type things, like the people that try to patent one-click checkout and stuff like that, and then sue everybody that tries to implement something that looks similar to that sort of thing. That,
Right.
There's the whole idea of software patents in general kind of ticks me off. Because it's like, you shouldn't be able to patent a particular, like, my function does this particular thing, and I've got a patent, and if you want to, write a function that looks anything like mine to do the thing that it does, then you're gonna have to license it from me, and that just seems so stupid.
Like the swipe to unlock by Apple.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
all that sort of stuff. Where it's
Or the
like,
fact that Android had to edit their software so that whenever you scroll to the bottom of the page, it doesn't bounce back like Apple's software does.
yeah, the
Like,
fact,
really?
yeah, I mean, it's like, and the fact that these patents can last for ridiculously long periods of time, it's like the patent office has forgotten what patents are actually for, and that's to protect the small guy. When he comes up with ideas, so that the big guy doesn't get it. It's not to protect the big guys from each other.
Right.
That's something else entirely.
Yeah.
Just, if somebody else is doing it, fine, just you do it better than they're doing it, and, that will be how you retain your customer base, but whatever. So yeah, that's something I'm pretty passionate about.
It's weird for me because, like, I have a lot of little passions that I, like, really get really involved in, and then I do something, and then I move to something else. So it's really, right now, I'm passionate about fixing up my house because there's so many things I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the one thing I've always been passionate about is basketball, watching and playing and everything.
And March Madness is about to kick off.
That's
here,
true.
isn't it?
And my team actually has a chance this year. It's amazing.
Are we going to see another Snow Madness competition?
We can do an internal one. I don't know about an external one.
Okay.
I would love to, but I don't know if we're going to get very many signups this time. I don't think I've been active enough for that.
I mean, I absolutely would. I had so much fun. Like, I mean,
Yeah, that's why it's going to be internal.
Could we do
Between
a?
us three.
Could we try to do it through dem guys?
Sure, I'm up for it.
All right.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on our Twitter. We'll announce things through our Twitter as we figure out what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure all three of us will be retweeting and stuff. So if for some
Indeed.
reason you're not following, then
Then
I already
you're
said
a jerk.
the Twitter name, so I'm not going to do it again. Drew, what are you passionate about?
well, like you, I'd probably say there are several things, but one big thing would be actually, I don't talk about this a whole lot, but creating stories in a way, not like writing novels, but coming up with, I just love coming up with like worlds and characters and backstories, and honestly, if that could be what I did for a living, that would be like the best thing in the world. I just don't really know where to get started with that, but because it's kind of a specific thing. But like, yeah, I love coming like
You should just like write a book.
creating-
Just do it.
Well, that's the thing. I've tried writing stories, and I'm terrible at like the little transitions and like the intricacies of the story. I'm good at coming up with like lore and history for like a completely new fantasy world that like I create the world and stuff. And I have tons of those on my computer, and it's just like I have a general story idea, but when I've sat down and tried to write, I can never get past the first chapter because it's like I don't know how to get where I want to go without making like suddenly it's just you're in the middle of a conflict or something with no idea what's going on.
You're like George Lucas. You know, you can come up with an awesome world, but other people should play in it.
I would love to do that. If I had the means to make just like a very open world sandboxy video game that just has like lore and stuff, and then other people come in and actually like
figure out what to do with
Unreal Engine 4 is now free.
You may have heard.
I have no idea how to program, which I understand you said there is some just like drag and click stuff, but yeah,
check out the link that I'll send for Slash to put in the description if you're interested in that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Cool.
Anyway, are we going on to question letter B?
I believe we are.
Which
Yes.
subpart? I?
There is just the subpart I.
Why is there subpart?
I don't know why there's a
I.
subpart triple I in the document.
That should not be there.
It skips subpart I.
It's gone now.
Yeah, I was going to say,
I.
I didn't have that there, and then when Slash went to move everything around, he created it.
Oh, it's all my fault. I gotcha.
This one's like kind of a weird trivia question from A Million Monkeys. Question letter B, subpart I says, what county in the United States of America do you think is the most well-known?
I should
County.
mention, I'm pretty sure this came from me introducing him to GeoGuessr.
Interesting.
I don't know.
I think probably down to, I think Dade County is pretty well known. I think Orange County is pretty well known.
Well, I've never heard of Dade, so...
It's
Dade
in
County's
Miami.
the thing. Yeah. I don't know. I really have no idea.
Oklahoma County. I'm sure you probably could have guessed that one.
I mean, I've heard of Orange County just like... I mean, there's a show, The OC, and like there was a band that was called the OC Supertones, and...
I think I've never heard of the OC Supertones.
They're not a very well-known band, but that's one way I had heard of it.
I think Orange County's probably got to be the answer.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would think so too. That's the only thing that comes to mind.
So he's got his answer here that I have conveniently turned into white font so we don't read it. It says, P.S. Don't read until, you have discussed. He says he'd argue for either Orange, or County, California, or Lancaster County, Pennsylvania.
Oh, pronounced just like a guy not from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know.
Lancaster.
Lancaster. Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Lancaster?
Lancaster.
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 Yeah, I'm going to go with Orange County.
Lancaster County is well known because of all the Amish people.
Yes.
I think
That's
my
where the Amish
family
people
actually
are.
immigrated to America from Lancaster County.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, pretty sure. In the
Wait,
1600s.
did you say they immigrated to America from Lancaster County?
Is that what I said?
I think
what
that's
I
what you
heard.
said, yes. And it was very amusing.
They immigrated. They landed in Lancaster County, I think.
Well,
Landed
seeing
in a
as
ship.
Lancaster County isn't near water,
Their
like the
spaceship,
ocean.
their airplane, they landed their airplane in Lancaster County.
That's where they beamed down to.
Yes.
I always
That's how
thought
it
there was
happened.
something otherworldly about Snowshoe. And now he's confirmed. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've never really thought too much about other counties, so
Yeah.
I'll just go with what we've come up with here and move along.
It's got to be Orange County. That's your answer.
Yeah.
Question letter C from Sarah J. and CB, subpart I. She's not subpart I, but the question C is subpart. Hey guys, what's your favorite sci-fi movie?
Favorite ever sci-fi movie?
There's a lot.
We know Drew's not answer. It's not
Yes, it's
Indiana
true.
Jones. Is that
Well, I
sci-fi?
would call that a
That's kinda
sci-fi movie.
No, that's not sci-fi.
Really?
No.
I think, okay, the fourth one's definitely sci-fi at
The
least.
fourth one has sci-fi elements, and that's why it's idiotic.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like
gosh,
Lost Ark is kind of sci-fi.
I can tell you something that's sort of vaguely sci-fi in terms of the technology that's used, although it's more it's a disaster movie, and I think I've mentioned it before on the podcast, but it's my favorite because it's so bad. The Core.
I just had a discussion about the Core 2 days ago. That's a
Yeah.
really random thing that just happened.
That movie, oh my gosh, I am always entertained by The Core when it is on.
Yeah, we just there was a History Channel special that the guy that does our telecommunications stuff in our office building started talking to me for an hour and a half about this History Channel special where the core of the Earth is gonna flip or something. And I was like, that's exactly the plot of the movie The Core, I believe. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure History Channel just ripped off The Core, but whatever.
No, it's The Core poorly ripped off global history, basically. Okay. Because they have this whole concept of the core stops spinning. I don't think it actually spins per se, but it's like Earth's magnetic field actually like reverses polarization on a semi-regular basis, from what I understand. So
right,
it's that like that's not a major, that's not something to go wow about. So,
but in the core, all the birds die.
They do, yeah. The birds they crash into things because. Because apparently they have internal compasses that somehow align to Earth's magnetic field.
And when they don't have them, they just fall dead, apparently.
Yep. But only in, like, Rome.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem to happen anywhere else.
Yeah.
But my serious answer, I'm going to go with the Star Wars, or Star Trek reboots. Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness have been very, very good. So they're the ones that popped to mind recently.
I'm actually slightly surprised that you're saying that, just because I guess I didn't necessarily know your opinions on those movies before, but I know some pretty hardcore Star Trek fans that are, like, completely think the new movies are just, like ruin the original series.
Well, I'm more open-minded than your typical, hardcore nerd. There's a lot of folks that get very passionate about what they're familiar with, and they discount anything that comes after. That they even remotely perceive as being unworthy. I went into the new Star Trek with an open mind, and I there was a whole lot of concern in the fandom about, J.J. Abrams has professed that he's not a Star Trek fan. He's talked about how it's not really a reboot, and people were like, how in the world can they be doing the things that they're doing and have that not, have these statements be true? And then I watched the movie, and it's like, okay, these statements are actually true. This actually works out. I think he did a very good job with it, and I thought the stories were very good as well. So I don't have a problem with the latest stuff. Now, having mentioned Star Trek, I'm going to derail the question real quick because I forgot to mention, I should have included earlier in the podcast, but Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, has passed away over the weekend.
I don't know how I forgot to mention that, because when that happened, I'm like, that is something we should talk about.
Yeah.
The craziest thing to me is that he was 83. That seems
83,
ridiculous to me.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot. He joins DeForest Kelley and James Doohan from the original cast in having passed away. We've got William Shatner, Walter Koenig, who was Chekhov, George Takei, who everybody loves these days on the internet.
He's got to be probably 70 now, too, huh?
And Nichelle Nichols, they're all still alive and well, as far as I know. But it's thinning out, unfortunately. There's little pieces of that.
He's 77. Holy cow.
Yeah. It's amazing how the time has sort of been flying now, but yeah, and he was really active up on Twitter and doing all sorts of stuff, right, foundations and stuff, right up to the end there. So I think there are very few people that can claim to have lived as good of a life as he seems to have lived. Just seemed to be a stand-up guy all around, and just I don't know what more can be said.
Yeah. How old do you think William Shatner is? I know the answer.
Shatner, I don't know. He's probably close. I'm going to go with maybe like 79 or 80.
Yeah, he's 83.
Oh, is he 83 as well? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's born in 1931. Sorry, my mind is just being blown right now.
Is it that World War II hadn't happened yet in 1931? Right. Yeah. That's a crazy thing to think about.
That was like the beginning of the Depression.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Around there.
You're right.
Jeez.
Pretty much.
Patrick Stewart's 74.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Oh, man. How the time flies.
The nostalgia, man, is thinking back to all these people that we used to watch and realizing we are also old.
Well, I'm going to let the time fly forward a little bit more and go to the last...
I don't get to answer?
Letter. Oh, no, you don't. Question letter... I just can't go ahead, Drew. I forgot.
Okay. So, first of all, I was actually looking through my Netflix list to try to decide... try to think of what movies I really like, and I do just like the new Star Trek reboots. I like pretty much all of the series of like Avengers movies that have come out recently.
I guess they can be sort of sci-fi.
They are sci-fi. They're not future.
What's that?
they're not futuristic, but it's aliens and
there are sci-fi elements. Yeah, I'll grant you.
There's a fine line.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily categorize it as sci-fi on a shelf, but I will grant you that there's a lot of sci-fi elements.
I can say, for my answer, I guess, because I realized I didn't even answer, I'm not really a sci-fi connoisseur, but I really, really enjoyed the new Guardians of the Galaxy.
That was good, too. Yeah. Yeah, I would call that more sci-fi than Avengers.
It's all part of the same universe. Take place at the same time.
Yeah, but Guardians of the Galaxy had purple people in it, and green people.
So did Avengers.
What?
Well, it had at least one green person.
Name one purple person in Adventures. Adventures?
What color were the aliens? The aliens were weird.
I don't even remember.
And there's like the frost giants.
Disqualified. Question letter.
Hey, I didn't even finish answering.
Oh my gosh. Alright, give us the answer. What is it?
Okay, probably my favorite one, it would be, is like a TV movie, sort of. It wasn't a theatrical release, but Tin Man.
Okay,
oh, was that the one with Zooey Deschanel that they did on the Sci-Fi
it's
Channel?
That was pretty good. It's like a sci-fi Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I did enjoy that. Yeah, I'll grant you that.
Unexpected answer coming out of the blue from Drew.
Yeah.
Can I go to question letter D now?
I think we can.
Okay, this one has two subparts, just forewarning. Question letter D, subpart I, from Six Gun Joe. He says, what are your favorite sci-fi horror movies?
Sci-fi horror? See,
I tend to avoid all of our answers.
Yeah, I tend to avoid the horror genre in general. Anything that fits the horror mold. So,
same.
I don't even know if I can think of a sci-fi horror movie that I've seen.
I know what he's thinking of when he asked that question, because they were recently watching the Alien movies. So.
I was going to say, that may be the only one, and I have seen it, but not enough to say that I can even have an opinion on it.
Spaceballs.
Horror, okay, sure, whatever.
There are some horrible things in it.
It's true.
I don't have an answer.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something similar that was just like a really terrible sci-fi movie. Spaceballs was pretty entertaining, actually. I thought it was funny. So yeah, I stay away from the horror genre. I don't do that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few horror movies, but not really sci-fi horror.
It's kind of a niche.
Yeah, it is.
Like outside of Alien and Predator.
I feel like those are my only two choices. I have to go with Alien or Predator.
I don't even think of Predator as much. Like that's more action than.
Yeah. Oh, but Adventures is sci-fi. Okay, I see how it goes.
All right, I'm gonna go. My answer is null.
Null, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Null pointer exception.
Well, here's a subpart letter number II.
Oh my gosh.
He's asking what are our favorite horror video games. Sci-fi tag not included.
Yeah. I, again, avoid the horror genre in my video games as well, but my favorite horror game Let's Play had to have been one of, like, years ago now, one of the Flob Milestone specials that Kurt had done was he played a single episode of Amnesia. And it was hilarious watching him play it because he was like, I don't buy into the horror games. I don't, I'm not immersed enough when I play these to actually get scared. So he was just sarcastic as heck throughout the entire thing.
Yeah,
and I thoroughly enjoyed that because that's the way I would
jump
play
scare
it.
I don't know, like I feel like they're not as fun whenever you don't get immersed.
Well, I jump scare very easily, and like I hate the whole horror thing. Like I'm just not into that. So I wasn't sure if I would enjoy that video. Like most of the time, I avoid watching like any of the Slender Let's Plays and stuff like that. But I watched that, and I don't think I jumped at all because anytime one of the jump scares would come up, it was just like, oh yeah, that was totally whatever. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I will say video games, they force you, especially if you're not Let's Playing them or anything, if you're just actually playing them, they force you to kind of immerse yourself in the world because you're actually controlling the player and you're looking around and everything. So I stay away from them for that fact. Like, just because I can't disassociate myself with the game.
The closest I can get to a horror video game that I've played or enjoyed would be like zombie games, which I don't even think of a lot of them as horror games because they're not really scary as much as it's just killing waves of enemies.
Right, like a Left 4 Dead kind of.
Yeah, so Left 4 Dead 2 I've played, and that would be my favorite of ones that I've played. But The Last of Us, it has some creepy moments in there, but The Last of Us, I wouldn't really classify it as a horror game. It is amazing though.
It's suspenseful.
That's probably the closest I could get to saying that would be a favorite horror game. It's not really even horror.
Yeah, that is a fantastic game. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, I'll throw in, it really is more suspenseful than anything. It's not really horror at all. But Heavy Rain, I really like Heavy Rain.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Really?
I have
Heavy
friends who play every single game by that developer, and I can't stand that style, but...
What? Okay, you need to play Heavy Rain if you can't stand that style. I don't know, maybe. If you don't like reading anything, then yeah, but...
It's literally, you're watching a movie with QuickTime events.
Yeah, but you get to choose what happens in the movie.
I can't stand it. It's one of those, like, artsy games that it's just like, oh, what does this mean? Ooh.
No, it's not as artsy. You're basically choosing what happens in the game, and then on top of that, it's a fantastic story with a twist.
It's an animated choose-your-own-adventure book.
Kind of, which is what a video game kind of is.
Where nothing extremely exciting happens. It's a lot of...
What?
There are
you need to watch Heavy
parts
Rain
to it.
If you haven't. If you don't think anything exciting happens, you need to watch Heavy Rain.
I didn't say anything. It's just there's a lot of... Okay, it's true I haven't watched Heavy Rain. I have watched part of Beyond Two Souls, though, which is the same developer and same style of gameplay and everything. And Beyond Two Souls is just like... There's so much that it's just like dealing with like people being emotional, and it's annoying.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch an LP of Heavy Rain, so I couldn't tell you if the LPs are any good as opposed to playing it. But like some of the decisions and things you have to do in Heavy Rain, I don't know. Like you had to like chop one of your fingers off and pick which tool to do it with, and like while you're doing it, you just don't even want to push the button for the QuickTime event. Pretty much, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not my kind of game either. I mean, I'm not vehemently against it like Drew is, but that's the sort of game I think I would enjoy watching others play more than I would enjoy doing it myself.
If I'm gonna play one of those like heavily based choice games, I want to play Mass Effect. That's really what it comes down to, or Dragon Age.
So much reading in Mass Effect, though.
And
anyway, I feel like this is a discussion that could go on for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Well, press A if you want this conversation to continue. Press B if you want the conversation to end along with the podcast.
B,
you've selected B.
What if
did I
they
select it in
selected
time?
A?
Or did the ultimate bad thing happen since I didn't select it in time?
/ what if they actually selected A? I think they're gonna feel...
They didn't get a chance to select A. They thought they could select A, and they were mashing A, but then B got highlighted on the screen. And they went, but I pressed A! But it doesn't matter.
Choose your own adventure.
It's choose my own adventure.
Right.
It's a choose my own adventure game. The writer.
Railroaded.
Exactly. I've got you on rails. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. We thank you all very much on the listenership for being aboard and listening to us. The local weather is... Oh, wait, no, we're not...
There's snow on the ground where I am. Again. That's
Again.
There's ice on the ground here.
It broke 40 degrees Fahrenheit today, and my wife was like, I'm taking the kids to the zoo. They need to get out of the house.
What kind of animals do you have at the zoo that are hanging out outside in 40-degree weather?
Oh, you would be surprised. Most of the animals out here were very happy to be out in the 40-degree weather.
Yeah.
But, all right, well, bye!
Bye!
Woo!